Today I'm going to cover the shoulder stand to bent arm planche variations. So I'm going to show easier ones, especially as I need to warm up as well. So I'm going to start with the easier variations, then I'm going to progressively make them harder. I'm going to show them on the steps, on the P-bars and the rings. And I'm a little bit concerned that I've shaved the bed a little bit, so I've given it a little bit of a trim and it might have decreased some strength. So let's run through some prerequisites first. So ideally, you already have a shoulder stand. Now the shoulder stand can be done in a tuck position, so collarbone is close to the box, or the P-bars, or the steps. And you need to be able to feel and balance the position. So if I take the shoulders away, the hips come down. If I bring the shoulders back, the hips come up. You don't want the feet moving around too much, especially when you start to open up into the straighter position. So straighter shoulder stand position, exactly the same. Feet go down as the shoulders come forwards, feet go up as the shoulder comes back. We also need to have some variation of the bent arm planche. Now we can play around and make this much easier by resting a little bit on the elbow, so a little bit more like an elbow lever. Now you can either turn the hands a lot, so I can externally rotate the hands if I have a flat surface, or if I have P-bars like this that I can change the angle of. It then makes it much easier to bring the elbows in. So I can hold this position and have lots of contact between the arms and my torso. The harder variation would be in that position. So I'm in that bent arm planche position, or bottom of the dip with the hips level with the shoulders, but I'm not resting on the elbows or upper arm in any way. You can make it easier or harder by doing that. We have the same variations with all of our planches and levers where we can extend the lever arm, so I can extend the legs out to make it harder, bring it back in to make it easier. So if I go in a tuck position, that's nice and easy. I could open out into my frog position or advanced tuck, straddle, and then eventually straight position. And you could also play around with hold time. So the shorter the time, the easier it is, obviously. The longer the time, the harder it is. Now, if we start to look at the transition from the shoulder stand down, it's exactly the same as when we do the shoulder stand to L-sit, where we transition through. But we're just going to stop or slow down as the hips start to become level with the shoulders, push forwards a little bit depending on how much we extend the legs backwards, and then hold. So tuck position, come forwards, bring the hips level with the shoulders, and then hold. And then I could come back again to my shoulder stand. Now most people are going to find the shoulder stand easier to the bent arm planche. So what you could do is start in a harder position in the shoulder stand, so straight body, and then as you come down, you come into your tuck position and hold before going back to your harder shoulder stand position. Or you could be strict and keep the same position in the shoulder stand and in the bent arm planche position. Now exactly the same on the rings. Obviously we need to have those prerequisites. We need to have that shoulder stand and we need to have that bent arm planche. But the beauty of the rings is that we can change the hand position during the movement. So I can start in the shoulder stand with the hands a little bit more turned around, and then when I go into my bent arm planche, I can really externally rotate and push forwards with the shoulders at the same time. So in the shoulder stand, I can either be in my tuck or my straight position. And then as I come down, I'm turning the hands more, pushing forwards. Now it's making me work a little bit more because the rings obviously are the hardest variation because of the stability. Now one of the main reasons I get clients to work towards this skill is it's going to help them with the 90-degree handstand push-up. Especially when you start to reverse the movement, you could do it on a box like this, starting in your bent arm planche and then extending up to your shoulder stand as you push up into your handstand. Should have warmed my handstand push-up up first, I think. But you get the idea. Eccentric would be the same, so coming down to shoulder stand, pushing forwards towards that bent arm planche. Then you could keep progressing into something like the 180-degree handstand push-up, if we call it that. So basically going from this position through to your shoulder stand, passing through the bent arm planche, pushing up towards handstand. And then on the reverse, coming down, you could even hang before coming back down. If you play with these movements on the floor, it's a little bit harder because you can't take your head or shoulders below your hands. So a shoulder stand is really impossible. Your sort of shoulder stand position is more like this bottom of the, like that bottom of the handstand push-up position, which is a little bit hard to hold, hard to balance, because it's a little bit in between positions. We're definitely building up to a bent arm planche on the floor. Is a progression on the P-bar and box variations we just showed, and will obviously help you towards the floor 90-degree handstand push-up. So have a little play with that bent arm planche position, the shoulder stand, then start playing with them together, combining them, working on that transition from shoulder stand to bent arm planche, then have a go at going from bent arm planche back to shoulder stand. And if you have it, you could do a little bit of a push up and down towards that handstand push up, or even if you have a handstand push up, have a go like I just showed, see if you can get all the way up. In some ways it's a little bit easier doing it like this because you can use momentum to carry you through up into the handstand. Let me know how you go with this one, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.